Another random topic video. This one's my basketball story. Now I got a bunch of different basketball stories specific, but I'm gonna tell you from start to the first time I played ball, all the way until when I went to semi-retirement, as I like to say. So I always played basketball growing up. I grew up at the West End Recreation Center. It was connected to the West End Community Center. So my mom used to drop us off at the community center every morning, and they would take us to school. And they would pick us up after. And then they would keep us there until she got out of work later. So that's where I started playing sports: football, basketball, baseball. I got on my first basketball team when I was about 6 years old. It's called the West End Pride. The recreation center was built while I was there. So it started off just as the West End Community Center. Then they built the recreation center literally while I was there. So I was there before the actual rec center was built. And also, I played on the very first West End Pride team. The details is very vague or very blurred from those days because I was really young. So I don't really remember. I don't think I got some playing time. I mean, we was young. Nobody was really that good. Fun experience. We traveled to other rec centers all across the state. It probably was the first and only time I played rec league ball as far as getting to travel to play the other rec teams in the state. That was about the only time. So anyway, got older. Eventually stopped going to the West End rec because we moved out of West End, moved to the North End to this house that we're in right now. We moved here when I was about 8 years old. So it was probably like 2 years after I played on the rec team. My mom bought a hoop for the backyard. Looking back on it, probably not a good decision as far as my basketball career will go. I'm a lazy person. I'll admit it. If I don't have to do something, I probably won't. And I love basketball. I love playing basketball. I love watching basketball. And if I don't have to walk 3/4 of a mile down to the basketball court, I'm not going to walk down the 3/4 of a mile to the basketball court. I'm gonna sit there and go right in my backyard and play ball with my friends. So that was the majority of my basketball playing days growing up, which was playing in my backyard. Clearly, I wasn't going to play on regulation. I grew up watching the Kobe's of the world, the Tracy McGrady's of the world, and these guys was dunking, doing all type of acrobatic moves, up and unders, 360 layups, all type of different high-flying moves, and I wanted to be like them. Now, obviously, I'm too young and short and not athletic enough to dunk and do the kind of stuff that they was doing, so I had to lower my rim, So my rim constantly stayed, I don't know, probably like 6-7 feet, just so I could be able to dunk, and that's all we cared about doing. So since that's the majority of my basketball playing days out in the backyard, I really never became much good. So whenever I did eventually go out to the court and play, now I have to readjust my jump shot because I'm used to shooting at like 7-8 feet. I'm not shooting at regulation, which is 10 feet. So it definitely didn't help my basketball career at all. Even though that's all I wanted to do was be a basketball player, NBA player, NFL player, either way, having that hoop, it definitely didn't help at all. Because all the stuff that I could do in my backyard, I damn sure couldn't do it on the basketball court playing on regulation. Repetition leads to perfection. If all you do is play on this 7-foot rim in your backyard, that's all you're going to be good at. And on top of that, that rim went through hell. That rim, it fell a bunch of times and slanted, so it wasn't even straight. And after a while, I didn't even have a net. I had to chop the net down. I'm just shooting on the open rim. So we got a slanted, no net rim, 8-foot rim that I'm playing on, 7 foot. And yeah, that definitely didn't help at all. On top of that, again, I used to freestyle everything growing up, so it's not like I had some type of practice regimen. When I was younger, I had some neighbors that he would always put the rim at regulation and say, hey man, if you want to get your jump shot good, you got to keep it at regulation and shoot like that. So when you go out to play ball, your jump shot's gonna be good everywhere because you're used to shooting on this rim. But again, I wanted to dunk. I want to do all the high flying moves. And I cannot do that if it's at 10 feet. So I would keep it up there for a while. As soon as you went inside, I'm lowering it right back down, going back to dunking. There was even a time I tried to show off for my friends. I dunked on a rim and hung on it. And this rim is only being held up by water. So it damn sure couldn't hold my weight. And I fell right back and the rim fell on me. Luckily I escaped injury. It didn't really hurt like that. Having that rim didn't really do much to improve my basketball career at all. It pretty much just hurt it. Had it not been there, I would have had no choice but to go out to the court. And not only would I be playing on regulation, I'd be playing with other kids, my age or a little older than me. And I would actually had competition. Back in the backyard, I'm only playing with my friends. I'm slow. One thing I'd realized about growing up, if my friends weren't doing something, I didn't want to do it, And when they did want to do something, then I would do it. I was the definition of a follower growing up. But I don't know. I guess all kids are followers. I don't know if I'm being too hard on myself, but like I said, if my friends weren't doing something, I probably wasn't too interested in it. And if they were doing it, it was fun. So I still had a lot of fun times in that backyard. Dunk contests we used to have. We used to throw alleys to each other. I mean, so we did have fun, but again, through the scope of somebody who would tell everyone he wanted to be in the NBA, really didn't help much. So I go throughout middle school. I get to 8th grade. During 7th grade year, I had switched from public school back to the school that I grew up in, Bishop McVinney. It was a small Catholic school, very small, and they had a basketball team. I came too late in the 7th grade year to play. So the next year, I was waiting for that next year. I'm like, man, next year, I'm going to be on the ball team. Now with my friends, who I actually grew up with, known since kindergarten, it's going to be a blast. And it almost was, but again, I had spent so much time just in my backyard without the guidance of a coach. There weren't too many rec centers in my area, so I pretty much just was a backyard baller. I used to beat my friends a lot, in my backyard, so it gave me a little bit of confidence, but not the kind of confidence that you would need to go up against some of the best ball players in the state. And until I actually stepped on that basketball court for the tryouts, that's when I realized that, two of my friends, Calvin and Jake, these was the two of the best basketball players in the state. And later on, as we went to high school, they would become first team all-staters. You know what I'm saying? But back in those days, I didn't realize what that was. I didn't understand. It's funny, my friend was saying to me, Calvin was saying to me one time, he goes, "You're the first person to learn that there's levels." Meek Mill had a song called, "There's levels to this shit." Basically saying, look, you may be good for wherever you're from, but there's levels to this shit. There's the elite pro level, like the world, you're some of the best in the world. There's like the semi-pro level, it's like a college level, a high school level, and and on right on down. You got to understand what level you're on, because a lot of people, they're better than everyone around them. They think that's enough to and rank themselves among some of the best in the world, and that's not the case. You have to actually be good and travel. Traveling and playing other players. That's what actually lets you know how good of a player you are. You got to go against it. You can't just play people in your backyard or play people in your neighborhood and think that you're a great basketball player. You have to actually go around and ball with the best. That's how you know what level you're actually on. But me, I didn't understand that at the time, and I was talking so much trash. I was like, I'm better than all you niggas. Every single, they still bring it up to me today. Like, remember when you thought you was better than us? Laughing at me and all that, but it's all good. I mean, I talk so much trash back then. I mean, I couldn't even help myself. I definitely was in for a rude awakening. When we got on that court and I seen how good they were, I was like, wow. Yeah, I might be better than my friends in my backyard, but these guys is on a whole nother level. I learned that lesson the hard way. However, I did end up making a team, just barely. Another one of my problems back in those days, I didn't know how to stand out. I knew how to be among the crowd and play with the competition. I didn't know how to stand out from the competition. I didn't really show the coach anything during the tryouts, because he would ask my two friends, okay, who do you guys think should be on? Obviously, he had his choices for who was good and who he wanted to put on there. But I guess when he was filling out the rest of the roster, he would ask their opinion, and I hadn't really shown him anything. I don't know how much of their influence actually allowed me to be on the team. They may have had something to do with it. I'm not sure exactly. Anyway, so the season starts and we start practice. I actually start improving. The more practices I had in, the more structured the practice. I'm going through these structured practices. I'm not just out there shooting around and just bullshitting with my friends like I grew up doing. I'm actually in a structured practice. We start off with the layup lines, shooting shots, the whole 9 yards. And being in an actual system for the first time, I started to excel. And, a few practices in, they was actually talking about me being in the starting lineup. It was like, they pretty much had, a lot of people had played, a good number of people had played the year before. The coach and, Calvin, Jake, they already kind of felt like they knew who was going to start already. We knew them two were starting. We had like a big dude, my boy Julio. I believe he was starting. So that's already 3. Yeah, so we just had to figure out who was the other 2 starting roles. And I started doing so good in practice, they started saying it was me. Hey, You know, Kai may had take one of them last starting roles that's there. And just like a lot of other times in my life, the minute they gassed me up a little bit, that was it, man. I let it go to my head, you know, and then one day I couldn't get a ride home from practice. You know, sometimes the coach would give us a ride. Sometimes my mom would be able to come get me. And it was just this one day I couldn't get a ride home. And the only alternative was to walk. So I'm outside of, you know, when school was over, I'm standing outside the school and I'm looking at the buses ready to go home. You know, I could hop on a bus and get home and be there, or I can go to practice, then have to walk home. And, you know, I didn't live close to the school at all. I lived in the north end and the school was in like the south side, like the heart of the south side. So I'm weighing my options. I'm like, should I go? Should I take the bus? Ultimately, since my attitude was so poor, I'm like, well, I'm about to start anyway. So missing a few practices won't hurt. Ended up taking the bus home. Wasn't trying to walk. Missed a few practices. I missed a few practices with that same attitude. I don't want to walk. I'm not walking all the way home. Fuck that shit. So took the bus. I remember being in the car one of the days where my coach was able to drive us home. I remember him saying, like, you know, we're talking about like the starting lineups. You know, we was getting closer to like the first game, and the coach is telling us, you know, he's like, man, Kai's not even the 11th man on the team. You know, he keeps missing practice, and you know, all my friends is laughing at me and all that, and I'm like, man, how do I go from being one of the people who's came close to starting to now all of a sudden I'm back? I'm not even the 11th man on the team. Like there was only 11 people, and he's saying I'm not even that. So from that point on, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be at practice. And I believe from that point on, I went to practice every day from that point on. But even them few practices I missed early on, it pretty much sealed my fate of riding the bench the whole season. Now you can imagine all the trash. I talk a lot of trash, man. I can't even help myself. So you can only imagine as much trash as I talk around the school, and then I'm sitting the bench the whole season. I mean, it was nothing but endless jokes, endless. Even the teacher made fun of me one time. Man, we had this, like, I don't know if he was German or some shit, and he made fun of me riding the bench. The whole class was laughing at me, man. Like, this shit was crazy. And I remember the first game. I sat the bench throughout the whole first half, damn near like half of the second half. And when he finally put me in a game, now I'm in complete selfish mode. I'm like, man, who knows when the next time he's gonna put me back in? Like he said in the car, I'm not even the 11th man. So soon as that ball came my way, I launched it. I ain't give a fuck. I launched a 3 from like like literally soon as I didn't dribble nothing. Soon as it touched my hands, launched it. Missed the whole rim completely. It hit the other side of the backboard. And man, when my coach seen that shit, he subbed me out immediately. And I didn't see the rest of the floor for that night. And that's pretty much how the whole season went. There were some games I didn't play at all. And if I did play, I played when we was up 30 or when we was down 30. That's the only time I got in the game. I say a majority of them games we played back in them days was close. 8 to 10 point swing, something like that. So I pretty much seen barely any time on the floor. Luckily for us, the team was good, you know, because my two friends, they carried the team all the way to the championship. We won the championship. I might have played like 2 minutes. The most I scored in the whole game was like 6 points. And we was just destroying this team one day, like I said. My poor work ethic, my poor attitude, my lack of commitment to being on the team and actually giving my all is what led me to sit the bench, ride the pine the whole season. It was a nightmare. I'm like, this is not the kind of start that my career, you know, this is not what I want, where I want my career to go. I want to play in the NBA someday. And if I can't even be good on the middle school team, I don't know what I was thinking. I still had confidence that I was going to make it to the NBA. I mean, I don't know what it is about our attitude that day. We thought it was going to be easy to make it to the NBA. You know, we didn't think it was going to take hard work, commitment, giving 110%, practicing on your own away from practice. You know, we wasn't thinking like that. We was thinking, man, all we got to do is be better than everybody else and we're good. But the funny thing is, back then, I didn't think the same way I thought now. I still kind of just looked at it like, I'm not getting a chance to really show what I can do. It was my lack of commitment, my lack of effort, my missing all them practices. You know, that's what really made me never get a chance to actually get on the court to show the coach what I can do. You know, because you got to show what you can do in practice before you can show what you do in the game, you know, because practice comes before the game. If you're not good in practice, you're not going to be good in the game. That's definitely a lesson that I needed to learn at a very young age. And I'm glad I learned it, because now I know that, now for my future endeavors, I can take that same mentality. I can see what happened in middle school and say, I don't want that to happen again. So I got to really be committed. I gotta put in the hard work. I got to develop a great work ethic. Eventually things will be fruitful. I'll get a chance to showcase my talent based on all the hard work I put in. And a funny thing is, and this is just a little sidebar, the day we graduated, a matter of fact, no, I'm skipping on a whole. After we won the state championship for the CYO division, we actually got to participate in the New England championship. So we got to go to Vermont. When we traveled, the whole team went to Vermont. We played in this tournament, and we won the first game, which again was a close game. So obviously I didn't get to play. Then the second game, we got torched, and that hadn't happened the whole season. So that was definitely a shocker for me. I thought my two friends was better than everybody. And when we lost to this team, I mean, it was tough. Like, Jake almost got into a fight. That shit was hilarious. I mean, Calvin went crazy, 27 or something like that. Who knows? He was killing them in that game. Yeah, we got blown out, had to go home. Yeah, that was it. But anyway, after the season was over, after I graduated 8th grade, the next day, I go to the basketball court, and the basketball court is located from my old middle school that I left the year before. And I'm out there just shooting around, and this probably was like the first time I was ever in the zone. Anyone who plays sports knows that there's just times when you step out there and it's like you can do no wrong. Everything goes your way. Every shot you put up, just swish. I mean, I was shooting from like NBA range, and that was just a little taste of what I could do. So again, I'm seeing myself do these things. The people who was at the basketball court that day, they see me and they're like, wow, this guy's incredible. Like, yo, what team you play for? And not knowing that I just rode the bench the whole season. I know that whatever I did that day, had I worked hard, had proper work ethic, been committed, practiced every day, went above and beyond what I was even asked to do by the team, I could have played more like I played that day when I'm literally just shooting from NBA range. I did like a hook shot from the 3-point range. Like, that's how hot I was that day. It was crazy. Of course, none of my friends is there to verify the story. It's just moments like that where you realize, wow, like, I really didn't tap into my potential the way I should have, the way I could have. And I let a poor attitude, laziness, just get in the way of me really tapping into my potential and seeing how far I could really go. So it's weird. It's like there's the way I view myself. Like, I know I have certain abilities, right? But everyone, from what they see, I can understand why most people just think I'm horrible in sports. And my friends, they never forget to let me know that. And then on the flip side, I've seen myself do things where it's just, it's weird. It's like I live this life that's just extreme opposites. There's times where I'm just horribly bad or extremely good. Unfortunately, none of my friends are there when I'm extremely good to verify these stories. So you can take all that with a grain of salt, if you must. Anyway, then we get to high school. High school was horrible, man. I didn't make the basketball team 3 years in a row, and I was too embarrassed to go for a fourth. My senior year, I said, fuck that. I'm gonna just go do indoor track, because I'm not gonna go through that. It was like an emotional experience for me, going to the tryouts, and still, again, I didn't know how to stand out in the crowd and show the coach what I could actually do. Year after year, it was times where I was scared to go look at the list, and I'm just like, so I would wait for everyone else to go and look. I see everybody celebrating, some guys, whatever. Then I'll go and I'm looking for my name. Look at freshman year, nothing. Sophomore year, nothing. Junior year, senior year, I said, fuck that shit. I'm not getting embarrassed the fourth time. Fuck that shit. I ain't going out like that. I'm not even trying out. My friend was like, hey man, we need a small forward, man. You should go out, I'm telling you. And I had enough. I said, I'm not going through that again. I'm not gonna have my heart ripped out my chest once again. And the funny thing is, I thought for sure I was gonna make it junior year, because I'm like, the coach of the team is my gym teacher. He knows me. I thought the reason I didn't make it in freshman, sophomore year was because the coach who was there, he didn't really know me like that. So I'm like, that's probably why he didn't put my name. He probably looked at the name and was like, who the hell is that? Kept going. My gym teacher definitely knew my name because he was in me in gym class. And when I still didn't make the team that year, I was like, okay, officer, you got me. I'm not a basketball player. I'm not going to the NBA. Okay. And honestly, I barely played basketball after that. I probably still played pickup games with my friends and all that. But as far as like trying to take it seriously, as far as thinking I was going to go to the league, my dream was finally crushed my junior year. Basketball just hasn't been the same since. You know, I haven't got. I always tell myself I'm gonna go back. I had times where I was going to the YMCA, shooting around, and I was getting better. And again, the repetition of playing every day, that potential's still there, untapped. And I know it. I don't care what none of my friends say. They see this video, probably gonna be laughing like, man, this nigga's full of shit. He's horrible. But I know what I seen myself do. So that's all that matters to me. And one day I know I'm gonna make my return to ball. I'm gonna play ball again. But right now I'm chasing my real dream, being an artist. So it's all good. I still got an ace left in the hole, as they say, if that's the correct thing. I don't even know. All I can say is, when you want something, if you truly want something, you're going to work hard for it. You're going to put in the time and effort that it takes to get what you want. You're not going to slack off and be among the best. That's just not going to happen. There's people out there working harder than you can imagine to make their dreams realized. And, looking back on it, I was lazy as hell. I slacked off, didn't put in the time. It actually shows how arrogant I was at the time, that I actually thought that I could slack off as much as I did and still be a great basketball player. It's just not going to happen. So I say to all of y'all out there, again, whatever it is that you're trying to chase, whatever it is that you want, first and foremost, you have to do it every day. If you want to be great at something, you have to do it every day. You can't cut corners to greatness. It just doesn't happen. I'm sitting there watching my friends go first team All-State in multiple sports, and I'm like, man, when am I going to have my time to shine? I was delusional, and there's a lot of other delusional people out there as well. There's no cheat codes in life. There's only one way to make it. Hard work, dedication, perseverance, great work ethic. Some of the great players you heard of, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the LeBron James, they have some of the most amazing work ethics that you could imagine. They're workout warriors in the gym every single day, constantly improving, trying to find a way to improve their game somehow. Like I said, you want to be great, you have to take that example and push yourself to the limits. That's the only way to make it. That's the only way to be great. It's the only way to be one of the greats. That's the only way to get anywhere in life and be successful in what it is that you're trying to do. Push yourself to the limit. These are just my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. This is my story, my basketball story. Peace. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.